can this 14-year-old i5 and this old Optiplex over here still run today's games? Or is it pretty much e-waste at this point? That is what I want to find out. And before you ask, yes, it can run Roller Coaster Tycoon. Quickly before getting into the benchmarks, this system is being powered by an i5 2400, which is the main focus of this video, an RX 474 gig version, 16 gigs of DDR3 RAM, and just a basic SATA SSD. Now the first benchmark I want to get to is Fortnite here. Now Fortnite is the most interesting example of these benchmarks. While I was able to get a consistent 60 FPS, the first match however was not that good. FPS was very low and there were even a lot of missing textures. But it was after around the third match that everything just completely smoothed out. And unlocking the frame rate, I did get higher frames, but the experience wasn't as smooth. Though, however, I did get a victory royale with the unlocked frame rate, so I don't know, maybe there was something there. Next game I tested out was Helldivers 2. Now, while I was only able to get around 40 to 45 FPS on average, and the experience doesn't look that smooth, honestly, the actual gameplay wasn't too bad. Honestly, just the fact that you're fighting a bunch of bots and it's just a PvE type game, you honestly don't need that high of a frame rate to really enjoy the experience, which I was actually enjoying the game at these low frame rates. Now there were some freezes here and there, but I mean other than that, I still honestly enjoyed playing the game at these frame rates. Up next is Marvel Rivals. While I know a lot of people complain about it being resource intensive and just being a completely unoptimized game, it actually ran really well on this really old hardware. With FSR off, I was getting anywhere between 45 and 50 FPS on average, which isn't that much more compared to, say, Helldivers, but the experience was a lot more smoother compared to Helldivers. And turning FSR on, I was actually getting upwards of 90 FPS, which is actually a very playable game, especially when you take into the fact that these specs are actually a bit below the minimum specs according to the Steam homepage. Now for the first, I'll say, unplayable game I tested on this machine was Halo Infinite. I got into a training range with a bunch of bots and I was getting anywhere between 40 and 45 FPS. So around what Helldivers was? The only issue is that the much higher time to kill in Halo Infinite, and plus you'd be going up against, you know, actual players in the multiplayer, it was a much worse experience in comparison. I could not keep my cursor on opponents because my boss was just going everywhere due to the frame rate just being too low. Black Ops 6 is another interesting example. The campaign ran actually really well. Zombies, the frames are a bit low, but same story as Helldivers since it's all PvE with zombies. It's actually very playable at these low frame rates. It wasn't until I tried to play multiplayer that I started running into issues. I had the same issues with Halo Infinite, to where I was just having trouble tracking people due to these low frame rates, especially since Black Ops 6 multiplayer is a lot more fast paced. Though there was one match where I did go positive and was top 3 on the team, but it wasn't that good of an experience, honestly. Now, I guess an honorable mention is Cyberpunk. I honestly didn't get that far in Cyberpunk, but honestly, turning FSR on in Cyberpunk at all low settings, it actually seemed pretty playable. I mean, at the beginning parts at least, it was playable. I don't know how well it would run in the, you know, later parts, but I mean, beginning parts were pretty well. Though honestly, the whole purpose of this video is I was just wanting to see how well older hardware can run nowadays. And something like the i5 2400, like, there's a lot of people that would see that as just e-waste, given that it's 14 years old now. At least the time that this video released. But it is still very capable. Now, I wouldn't go out and buy one, or, you know, buy a pre-built off of eBay that has one, because you can get so much better options for that. But if you have one, say, lying around, or you have an electronics recycler or a solid waste management near you, and you're able to pick one up for, you know, really cheap, or even for free, like I was able to pick up this Optiplex for free, then honestly, you could upgrade it and have a somewhat decent gaming PC still on your hands. I'll say the biggest thing is that this could be a really cheap way to have a side PC from your console to play modded games. You know, mod Skyrim, mod Minecraft, you know. Or I mean, hell, like, you can even do Helldivers, some mods on that, since it actually ran it kind of well, you know. This could be a great machine to, you know, mod some games that you can on the console. So, honestly, this is still capable hardware for, you know, modding, or, you know, to give to, like, a little cousin, a little brother or sister, or just, you know, a kid as a starter PC, because they're not going to be honestly playing some stuff that's too intensive. So honestly, this hardware is still very capable nowadays, surprisingly. Now what I'm hoping to do is get some more in-depth benchmark videos up sometimes this week, so make sure you look out for that. And until then, I'll see you later.